The Cloverfield paradox sucks. Yeah, skipping the pleasantries today because the movie is just that bad. The Cloverfield paradox, which has premiered on Netflix, is utter garbage. May as well let you know I'm getting into spoilers in this video too, because part of the whole reason this piece of crap exists is to supposedly provide answers to the Cloverfield universe. And you can't see it, but I am using the biggest air quotes possible for that one. Good grief, I don't even know where to begin. So the movie actually doesn't start out that badly. We see a near future on the brink of World War III due to an energy crisis. In order to prevent that war, an international group has been placed on the Cloverfield space station to test a new energy system. After roughly 2 years of trying and failing miserably, they finally figure out something that works, except it really doesn't because something goes wrong, and the next thing the astronauts know, Earth has disappeared. That's a great start. What happened? Has the Earth been destroyed? Has the Earth been moved? Has the space station been moved? There's a great sense of mystery there. And there are all sorts of other strange things happening across the space station, which make you wonder what on earth could possibly be going on. But then I got my first realization that something about this movie wasn't going to work well when we suddenly cut back to Earth. Yeah, we're suddenly back on Earth following the husband of our female protagonist. So there goes all the tension, guess Earth is fine. Except it's not, because the Clover monsters are running around now. Oh, don't worry, I'll get to the Cloverfield monster in a moment. Right now, though, I have to say that these particular scenes that are constantly cutting back to Earth really disrupt the flow of the film. In fact, they're so disruptive, I think it's pretty clear they were a last-minute addition. Much like 10 Cloverfield Lane, this probably started out as a completely standalone story in which a bunch of astronauts suddenly lose track of where the Earth is. But then somewhere along the way it was decided to somehow tie it into the other movies, so these scenes were quite literally shoehorned in at the most awkward places. Seriously, they disrupt everything, the movie should not have had them. But that's not the only thing that goes wrong with the Cloverfield paradox. The trailer promises us answers. You want to know what's answered? Jack and squat. In fact, this actually raises more questions than answers. Among those questions, are the scenes on Earth supposed to be set during the first Cloverfield movie? Because if they are, then we're witnessing a gigantic retcon. I did not get any impression from the first movie that it was set in a world on the brink of war due to an energy crisis. Or perhaps they're the aliens from 10 Cloverfield Lane? Which may be the monsters, but I really doubt they are. I mean, how could they be the same creatures? If Clover is supposed to be a baby and he's literally the size of a skyscraper, then what are the much smaller aliens from 10 Cloverfield Lane supposed to be? And how exactly do the events of that film tie in at all to the monster's existence? Well, apparently the answer that they decided was good enough was multiple realities. This new energy source is apparently causing particles from different realities to collide with each other and mix and cross over, and so what we're seeing here is just the crossing over of realities everywhere. Well, that pretty much destroys the augmented reality game connected to the first Cloverfield movie, unless that's supposed to be one of the realities. But then is that a separate reality from 10 Cloverfield Lane? Or is 10 Cloverfield Lane still set in that reality, but not in the Cloverfield paradox one? Or, you see where the problem lies here? There is no answer. That bit from the trailer about finding out why the Cloverfield monster attacked? That's a bald-faced lie. But even if, I say if, there are answers out there that tie all of this together, no doubt at the end of some wild goose chase we're expected to go on, it still doesn't change the fact that we're left with a movie which, when viewed on its own merits, really doesn't work at the end. Like I said, it started out strong, but the further along it got, we just had contrivance after contrivance, and characters doing stupid things. I swear to you, there are so many things in this movie that are just plain pointless. Towards the beginning of the third act, there's an explosion that causes part of the spinning space station to start swerving out of control, which threatens to tear everything apart. It needs to be disconnected, which they say is a 3-person job. Well, they say that, but it turns out only the one person who makes the heroic sacrifice actually needed to do anything, so why did the other 2 people go with him? And the character who winds up being the human villain at the end, who comes from an alternate reality that actually is being torn apart by war, is given the information she would need in order to make the technology work, but then decides to just go back and sabotage everything and become the villain because I guess man versus nature wasn't enough of a conflict. If I sound frustrated, it's because I am frustrated. That's what this movie does. It's frustrating. I wanted to give this a shot, folks. Despite my frustration with the first film, I like the original Cloverfield. I also like 10 Cloverfield Lane. I thought those were good movies. The Cloverfield Paradox is trash. So that's it. I'm done with this crap. If this is really the best they could do to try and make Cloverfield into another shared cinematic universe, then I want no part of it whatsoever. I wash my hands of Cloverfield. I wash my hands of Bad Robot. I am done with the whole mess. I am sorry to all of the actors who wasted such good performances on such a terrible, terrible movie. But there's just no escaping the fact that it is terrible. I can't even say nice try, because that would imply it actually was a nice try. Well, I feel better having vented now. The Cloverfield Paradox is still awful, though. If you haven't seen it yet, don't. But anyway, this long, rambling rant is just what I think. As always, you're welcome to leave your thoughts in the comment section below, but I'm warning you ahead of time. Trying to convince me that this movie is somehow good is a Sisyphean task. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni viewer signing off.